Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Birdie To Me. We've got another feedback edition ready to go. Dan, it's over to you.
Okay. Now, first of all, we have a comment here from Craig. Craig's after some advice from you guys. In fact, he starts this by saying, help me, please. 9 holes at Warrnambool and 7 out of my 9 tee shots were all on the heel.
Yes.
So he's after some advice on how to address that issue.
On the heel.
Yeah. See, I always think a lot of people credit shanking, and that's basically what that is. That is a shank.
Shank driver.
It's a shank driver. So I always credit shanking to setting up on the heels and moving to the toes.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Well, because, I hear some witchcraft where they say a shank's caused from coming too far inside or a shank's caused from coming from the outside. But that's how you hit a draw and that's how you hit a fade. That's not right.
Was that one of your masterclasses a while ago where you said you want to tap the heels, not tap the toes?
Yeah, that's right.
Don't be a toe tapper.
And Mr. O'Hearn used it and absolutely loved it.
Indeed.
So there's a couple of things you can do. Exactly what Nick just said, which is stop tapping your toes at address and start tapping your heels. That just means the weight is in the correct spot. The other thing you can do is set up and don't put the club right behind the ball. Put the toe at the bottom of the ball of your club. Put the toe of the club at the bottom of the ball and then move your weight forward. Don't reach for the ball with your arms. You actually move the weight from your heels to the balls of your feet, and then you're guaranteed to have your feet in the right spot. But look, in my experience, when people hit it out the heel all the time or shank it all the time, it is always weight's too far back in the heels.
Nick, you agree?
Totally.
Okay.
Don't need to say anything more.
Okay. All right. Next comment here. This is from David. Nick and Mark, I love the podcast. What about doing a masterclass on concentration?
Oh, this is right up your alley.
I get distracted when I see movement behind me when I'm ready to hit. And once I do this, or once I see this, I've got some real trouble getting it out of my mind, and I'd really love some advice. David.
Yeah. It's funny, back in the old days, just before you this is all you, back in the old days, I remember a lot of players, if you parked your bag behind the line, if you're playing with there's not too many people around, a lot of the time my caddy, if I'd hit the green, would just pop the bag down behind on the way out.
Yep.
And yet you'd get players who would have a putt towards the ball. If your bag was in the background, they'd ask you to move your bag.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you to repeat the question, Jan, because I got distracted. And,
no, I've got a comedian on the pod.
No, it's a funny one. Depending on who you play with, the playing partners, can move while you're teeing off or while you're putting.
Yep.
Focus and concentration. I always bring it back to a pre-shot routine. You need to have that execution part of it on autopilot, where you're locked in. You're focusing on your process. Nothing is going to distract you. So you're not even thinking, you're just seeing, feeling, reacting. Now, if you're still thinking while you're over the ball, then you're going to get distracted.
That's right.
Okay, that's probably the best way to think about it. So do all your thinking before you get over the ball. People can move, do all that, but as you walk into the ball and once you're over it, then you're more in the sensory part of the routine where it's seeing, feeling the shot. And if you do that, funnily enough, you won't actually notice anything around you. I've had moments where someone said to me, I was playing at Wentworth on the 9th hole and I had a putt and I knocked the putt in, and my playing partners who were walking to the next tee said, didn't you just hear that train go by?
Yeah.
I said, what train? I don't know what you mean. So,
and you weren't being super cool.
No,
that happens
when you're that locked in, you're that focused. Then those sorts of distractions just don't even play a part. So, work more on that execution part of the routine where you walk into the ball, count how many steps, how long you take over the ball, time it so that you get it exactly the same every single time. And then what'll happen is it will become like you're on autopilot and you'll stop thinking. You'll just start seeing, reacting, and that should help the distraction part of it.
There's just a plan B to this as well. If you're playing in a group where the people are your friends who are distracting you, don't say anything. Just kind of start again. Just kind of start again. If you say something, they will use that against you for the rest of your golfing life.
You sound like you're talking from experience.
Absolutely. Every once in a while, I've got a good score going, and I've been part of the, the fun and the joking around for the first 14 holes. But, I want to shoot 40 points. And it's at those moments where I kind of sneak back into the old routine.
Yeah.
And if they are still being a smart ass, I know if I said something to them, they'd look at me like I was Joe the Pro and I don't want to be Joe the pro. So you just kind of stop, just start again. They end up getting the drift. You know, they might not have known you had a good score going.
That's true.
They might not have known.
The other part of it, and, you know, one of the reasons I love watching a guy who just won this past week, Ryan Fox, is he's fast over the ball. Yeah. Doesn't take much time. If you're a player that takes a long time over the ball, you can get distracted more easily.
Absolutely. Well, there's just more time to be distracted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
This is just a comment, not so much a question. This is from Tom, and he was talking about your breakfast that you had with Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, yeah.
Where he tapped you on the shoulder and said, mind if I join you?
That's exactly how he talks. That's exactly how he talks.
Tom has said that 20 minutes would have been a blast. Love the podcast, boys, which a simple comment, but I thought it was a nice one to share.
It was brilliant.
And Perry wants to see a bonus pod on the Troppo Tour, as you talked about. Yeah. He's saying the early days, the 70s, 80s, they were the start of careers like Baker Finch, Peter Senior, Mike Harwood, Wayne Grady's, Harry Price, Zom, Chucky, Macca, interesting times. The Royal Hotel in Maryborough, legendary.
Yep. Well, look, Wayne Riley, who is getting a good run on our broadcast at the moment when you watch the PGA Tour events, he was the king of the Troppo Tour, the king, the sultan of that tour.
Indeed.
He's going to be, when we start doing these, they are planned, folks.
Yes.
When we start doing, hosting a superstar down a little bit down the track,
he's
Wayne
on the list.
Riley's on the list, very high up on that list.
He was excellent in Canada, by the way.
Killed it.
He was really good. Really good.
He killed it. In the playoff in particular.
Yeah.
Because, in that playoff when you're only watching two groups, you've got there's a lot of time to kill between shots. You can't go to another group somewhere else on the course. And he filled so beautifully. He's a star, Raider.
Yeah.
He's a star. Really, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a call up.
Maybe.
Yep.
Now, last week we were going to try and talk to Scott in Wanaka in New Zealand, and we screwed up the time. Not him. Scott was on board. We made the error.
There is a different time zone in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Just making sure.
So we might try and have a chat to Scott after the turn.
We're live from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. We all know the number one ball in golf is Titleist and the number one shoe and glove in golf is FootJoy. We're here thanks to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will always help you play your best. Turn your bogeys into birdies with the Watch My Numbers app, and Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. That's better. Now, back to Talk Birdie To Me. Here's Nick and Mark.
Okay, welcome back to Talk Birdie To Me. We are on the 10th tee, and are we going international, Dan?
We are. We were going to talk to Scott from Wanaka last week. We screwed it up, not him. He was very good. We weren't. But let's try and get him on.
We got a new feature. Watch this, Nick. I've never seen Dan more excited.
There he is.
There's Scotty from Wanaka. G'day, Scotty.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Scott.
Nice to see you. And thanks for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it.
No, it's good fun every week for sure.
Good on you. Where do you want to start?
Well, a quick sort of lead-in story. A couple of weeks ago was having the round of my life, and 9 holes in, I decided to stop scoring myself, and my partner had it anyway. So, but you have those days when the bounce always goes your way, and you get the odd chip off the green, and you think, geez, this is a good game.
Yeah.
And I get to about the 15th, and up until then, I'd just been having a good day, just been enjoying it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
But about the 15th, 16th, 3 holes to play, and I still had a stroke on every hole. So I thought I could breeze it, but I just started feeling that back of the mind pressure, this is my best game. What am I going to do now? And long story short, I dropped 6 shots in the next 3 holes.
No.
Ooh, that hurts.
The story ends well. I still ended up having, and this is where it gets kind of wild, I still had my best ever round.
Oh,
but
wow.
I was 2 over.
Yeah.
And after 15.
And what was your handicap?
9.
2
on
over.
A short little 70 hole. Yeah.
Okay.
So so the question is, we quite often talk about how you reset after a bad shot, how you get going when you're not playing so well. How do you score well when you're already scoring well?
It's a great.
It is a great question.
A fabulous question, because even the best rounds of golf I ever played, I did something stupid.
Mm.
And to me, I'm going to pass over to you. You've had so much more experience, Nick, but that is when your short game bank of practice comes into play. And even a smart chip out and not doing something dumb and relying on a very sharp wedge game. But that would be my answer. But I'd be listening closely to the next person talking, Scotty.
It's a common question. You got a good round going and you think, oh, I've got 2 or 3 holes to play, and then you start thinking about your score.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, why did I start doing that? Because you're playing well, and all you got to do, it's a simple thing to say, is just keep doing what you're doing. Now, why is it so hard? Is because the result's coming. It's right in front of you. Now, I always found for myself, which I think worked for a lot of people, is you need to learn to be able to switch off between shots. So when you start thinking about your score, you start thinking you've got a good round going, you got to go, hang on, I shouldn't be thinking about this. What should I be thinking? Well, I'm walking down the fairway. Why don't I have a chat with my playing partners?
Yep.
Why don't I talk about Ryan Fox, who just won the Canadian Open, or something like that? Distract your mind away from the things you shouldn't be thinking about. Now, it's easier said than done. It takes a bit of practice, but think about that next time you're playing a really good round, Scott. When towards the end go, oh, okay, I've got a good round going. I'm going to start talking to my playing partner, or I'm going to start thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight or whatever. And then when you get to your ball, you're like, oh, okay, I got a shot in front of me. Here we go. We lock in. We're back into my pre-shot routine. And a pre-shot routine is obviously, I talk about it a lot. It needs to be precise, and it needs to be very consistent. If you can work on that, it's the best way to become a more consistent golfer. But the switching off part, it's such an invaluable skill.
Can I tell a story for you, Scotty, right here? So there was one year where I was going to finish up. I think it was year 2000. Because I always said to myself, if I ever finished outside the top 60 in Australia, then I've got no hope overseas, right? Which is pretty much accurate, isn't it? If you can't stay exempt top 60, you're done. Anyway, I 3-putted on my 54th hole at Concord Golf Club, and I was gone. I had to finish top 10 to keep my card. I knew that. Anyway, the next day, the courtesy card turns up. I'm in there by myself, and I just reflected on my career. I thought, you went so much further than maybe people thought you would. And
did
blah,
okay.
blah, 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 blah. Did okay. And I'm finishing early. I'm 31. I get a head start on all the other golfers who finished a little bit later. So I made peace with what was about to happen. Anyway, I was playing with Wayne Smith, and we were just the two. And I birdied the first hole at Concord, and then I birdied the second hole at Concord, and I birdied the third hole at Concord. And Wayne Smith, a veteran, he knew what was going on. On the fourth tee, he came up to me and said, "How are Collingwood going to go this year?" I birdied the fourth hole and I birdied the fifth hole. All right. And Wayne Smith spoke to me in between shots, spoke to me walking. He took my mind off what was taking place. I ended up shooting 66 at Concord.
Beautiful.
And guess where I finished? 10th.
Tied 10th.
And I made enough money to finish 58th and kept my card.
Yeah.
Now, what Nick is saying is so right, because if Wayne Smith didn't come over and get me to walk away from what was happening, then I guarantee I would have doubled 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Instead, I got into the habit of exactly what you're talking about, thinking about something else. And then my caddy, it was just, he wasn't a real caddy, he's just someone I picked up in Sydney. Even he started taking, points from what Wayne was doing. And I'll never forget Wayne. My career lasted another 3 years.
Yeah, he's a great guy, Wayne.
And that is a wonderful, what Nick just said then, it's so true. Because the other thing you said that was great, Nick, was that something good is coming.
Yep.
You're on the way. And that's poison. That's so,
in this game it is.
That's so poisonous the game of golf.
Yeah. And the problem sometimes is your playing partners will say, gee, you've got a good score going. And then they get into you. Now, you may not want to play with them.
It's actually one of my cheeky tactics.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
to
right.
get them thinking about the score, right?
That's right. But you've got to use it as a tactic. Before they start giving it to you, you've got to take their mind off giving it to you about what's happening. So it can work beautifully for you. I reckon that's.
Well, I hope that helps anyway.
That will definitely help.
Well, a quick follow-up, if you got a second, especially for you, Nick. I just read Stevie Williams' book on his days with Tiger Woods.
Oh, how was it?
They do give you it's a good read. It's a good golfer's read.
Oh, good. I got to read that one.
But the numbers in are phenomenal. But they do give you, Nick, a good little polite shout out.
Oh, really?
With your win against him in the match play world champs.
Fantastic.
Which
So my
which
question
one?
following up-
Which win was it?
So my question then is, you put yourself in a situation where you're trying to beat yourself. It's one thing, but you come up against Tiger Woods in his pomp and you're beating him in a match play tournament. You got a couple of holes to go. What are you thinking at that point?
Yeah. Well, the fortunate thing for myself, the first time is I kind of had a good lead on him and he never really came back into it. The second time was the hardest because I had a big lead. He brought me back to square with 2 to play. But again, it was the same old thing. My caddy Wilbur,
Superstar
Wilbur,
caddy.
he's brilliant.
Superstar human being.
I remember walking off that 17th hole. It's a par 5 and he's outdriven me by whatever. And he goes, gee, the Aussies are doing well in the cricket, aren't they?
Yeah,
Same sort of thing that
go.
Wayne Smith did to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they are playing pretty good. And so I forgot about everything else. I ended up birding the hole to go 1 up, and then I ended up getting him in extra holes because he birdied 18. But again, it's in those situations, if you start thinking about the moment, it becomes too big.
Yeah.
So you've got to make the moment small in a way. And the only way to do that is to distract yourself and distract your mind between shots. Over the ball, well, it's important. You've got your pre-shot routine to focus on and away you go. But
you've got to execute at some stage, don't you?
Exactly.
At some stage, you've actually got to sit back and execute.
But if you've worked your mind to the maximum for the 100 yards you're walking up to your ball, by the time you get to the ball, you're fried. So you need to be as relaxed as you possibly can. So in a way,
it's so true.
Absolutely,
it's so true.
So a great little thing I did was I used to cue when I was playing. As soon as I hit my shot, I took my glove off, and my caddy Wilbur. As soon as he heard that rip of the Velcro, he was into me. He's like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about something else now. He knew that was my key. So
Clever.
Try and have a key yourself as well, Scott, whether it's a glove or it's a cap. You may take your cap off or something like that to go, okay, my mind's switched off. I'm going to think about something else. And then do the reverse. My glove comes back on. I'm switching back on, and away you go again.
Great question, Scott.
Really
fantastic, mate.
Awesome tips. Thanks, boys.
Okay.
Good on
Hope
you.
it helps.
Hey, go
Cheers.
well, and let us know when you get down to 5, will you? 9's not bad, but I want to know when you're down to
Come
5.
over and I'll give you a game.
Good on you, Scotty.
Thank you, Scotty.
Thanks, boys.
I reckon, boys, on that note, we might wrap it up this
All
week.
right.
Perfect. Good on you guys.
Enjoy the golf over the weekend in Oakland.
Well, I cannot wait, actually. I
so
just
good.
can't wait to see what happens on Monday morning.
And that's been Talk Birdie To Me, Australia's most popular golf podcast, with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. As everyone knows, Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to subscribe, maybe leave a review, and we'd love you to share the pod with a friend who loves their golf. Huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Ping, like they do for Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional for a Ping club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet always beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. Watch My Numbers is the most powerful data-based golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. And better, they've got the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Download from the App Stores today. Now that's better. Keep in mind, what are you really gambling with? But for now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.